What's up, Taiwan? Good evening. I'm Erika Liu with 10 minutes of news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Russia has announced it will significantly reduce military activity around Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, and the northern city of Trinihiv. But as James Chater reports, Western and Ukrainian leaders are wary of Moscow's promise.
An apparent breakthrough after talks between Ukrainian and Russian officials in Turkey. Moscow's representative said Russia will significantly reduce military activity near the Ukrainian capital Kyiv and the northern city of Trinihiv. But Russia's pledge drew immediate skepticism.
Українці не наївні люди. Українці вже навчилися і за ці 34 дні вторгнення, і за минулі 8 років війни на Донбасі, що довіряти можна лише конкретному результату.
When asked whether he thought Moscow's pledge was simply an attempt to regroup its military, US President Joe Biden had this to say.
We'll see. I don't read anything into it until I see what their actions are.
Pentagon officials warned Russia's remarks are not a promise of ceasefire and that there could be continued assaults, particularly on eastern Ukraine.
Has there been some movement by some Russian units away from Kyiv in the last day or so? Yeah, we think so. Small numbers. But we believe that this is a repositioning, not a real withdrawal.
Despite promises of a pullback in the north, in Ukraine's south, more destruction. 7 people were killed in the city of Mykolaiv on Tuesday after Russian shelling tore through a government office.
Это просто кошмар. У меня девочка погибла на моем этаже. Что я могу сказать? Вы что шутите? Я ее обняла и прошла 2 минуты, разминулась.
For the people here, Moscow's actions will need to speak louder than words. Asnaya Joe and James Chater for TaiwanPlus.
Ukraine's youngest ever lawmaker, Sviatoslav Yuresh, took up arms, joining the fight against the Russian invaders in his country. Our reporter Rick Laurt spoke to the 26-year-old about how Ukrainians are coping with the conflict.
Well, as far as the government itself, we made a point, a very clear point, that government continues on, and we have everybody in the leadership of the country remaining in Kiev. More than that, every single time the parliament met, we had more than 300 votes, so constitutional majority voting for each and every law that was passed. And the point is very simple and clear here. We are getting on to this new situation, making a point to the world that even though Russia is trying to crush us, it cannot do that, and government will continue as normal.
And so what does your job as a lawmaker look like now?
First, on the question of lawmaking is mostly constrained to committee meetings which happen online. As far as my goings on every single day, it's first to do with the fact that I have been mobilized into the Ukrainian military. Second, as far as my commanders are concerned, they know I can be more successful in trying to bring various things that front lines need.
From your position in Kyiv as a parliamentarian, could you tell us about the day-to-day situations you've come across of Ukrainians standing up and resisting?
I mean, there's no shortage of them. I mean, when you visit destroyed towns around Kiev, in which people that were just living their lives every day are now living in bombed-out hospitals and are trying to save people, even though themselves they are in line of danger. People that have been living a whole different lives, taking up arms and becoming more of a soldiers than a lot of soldiers around the world, and being in the line of fire every day to resist and that keep their towns Ukrainian. You get essentially shocked by the reality of it all and how people are finding it in themselves to resist and battle on because they believe in the idea of Ukraine for the future.
Amnesty International has highlighted a number of human rights concerns in Taiwan in an annual report. The UK-based NGO said mistreatment of migrant workers, especially fishery workers, shows that Taiwan still needs to improve on its human rights protections. The report says other issues also need to be addressed, including a failure to protect indigenous lands from mining companies and the fact that the country retains the death penalty. Taiwan's government has unveiled a sweeping plan to cut carbon emissions and fight climate change. According to the roadmap announced by the National Development Council, the country will aim to have net zero emissions by the year 2050. One of the targets is to have 60% of the country's energy generated by renewables. Other measures include requiring all new buildings to be nearly emissions-free, promoting the use of electric vehicles, and encouraging industries to switch to less polluting equipment. The government will invest over $31 billion through 2030 to fund these efforts.
这个计划的推动过程当中，也会吸引很多的这个民间投入。那这个投入大概主要在未来的2030年，最主要的当然还是太阳能光电跟离岸风电的一些投资。那经济部已经设定了增加的这些额度，所以这两项加起来的话，吸引民间的投资可能就会超过3兆台币以上。
A panel of experts appointed by the government has concluded that a woman's death was directly related to receiving a COVID-19 vaccine shot. This is the first such confirmed instance in Taiwan. The woman, in her 50s from Taipei, died from a brain hemorrhage caused by a rare blood clotting disorder after getting an AstraZeneca vaccine. The experts decided that the woman had no health issues that could have been a factor in her death, meaning that the vaccine was to blame. They agreed that the government should pay the maximum compensation of 6 million Taiwan dollars, or $210,000 in the case. In other COVID-19 news, Taiwan reported 56 new local infections on Wednesday. Basketball player and outspoken critic of China, Enes Kanter Freedom, is planning to visit Taiwan this summer. The NBA star told the broadcaster Voice of America that he plans to hold a basketball camp in the country. He plans to invite Taiwan President Tsai Ing-wen, describing her as one of his idols and heroes. The sports star also said he heard Taiwan's food is, quote, amazing. Turkish-born Kanter became a U.S. citizen last year. He was disowned by his family over his criticism of the Turkish government. More recently, has used social media and specially designed sneakers to criticize China's human rights record. On Tuesday, Kanter also called on the world to prevent Taiwan from becoming the next Ukraine. Team Taiwan has made history, winning gold at this year's Bakery World Cup. This is the first time that Taiwan has won an international baking competition. The team knocked out Norway and the Netherlands to take the top spot. Jaime Yokon has this story.
Giving the people at home a reason to celebrate. Team Taiwan has won the gold at the 2022 Bakery World Cup, their first ever win in an international baking competition. They came in second at the last World Cup.
很开心可以让世界看见台湾，对，真的在这一次帮台湾把这个赛事夺下来，算是一个翻篇，就很开心啊！就是谢谢帮助过我们的人。
The Bakery World Cup is an elite baking competition that takes place over 3 days and is held every 4 years in France. 12 teams are invited to participate and are judged in 4 different categories: baguettes, sweets, artistic creations, and a gourmet baking test.
Et on est très heureux franchement qu'ils aient gagné parce qu'ils le méritent. On sent que derrière il y a eu un travail de fond, de recherche et en même temps de répétition pour pouvoir décrocher cette fameuse Coupe du Monde de la boulangerie.
Team Taiwan knocked out heavy favorites such as Team Netherlands and Team Norway with creations such as this baked replica of Beauty and the Beast. But for many Taiwanese watching in the stands and around the world, the victory was a moment of national pride.
刚刚很多我们产业都在看直播，非常感动，特别是秀出我们的国旗，哇，让我们台湾站在世界舞台啊，非常感动，很多人都流泪了，这是台湾之光也是我们烘焙的骄傲。
The triumphant team of bakers will be back in Taiwan soon and can look forward to defending their crown at the next Baking World Cup. Klein Wang and Jaime Okan for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. I'm Erika Liu. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally today, we leave you with some images of Japanese cherry blossoms in Tokyo. Take care and see you next time.